Hello, 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 and welcome back to my channel. Or if it's your first time here, welcome. Today, we're going to answer a question that many people often have when they see a person in an abusive relationship. And this abuse can be mental, physical, verbal, any kind. It can be financial, any kind of abusive relationship. It's so easy to be on the outside looking in and say, why doesn't that person leave? Why doesn't that person just leave? If I was that person, I would just leave. I would get my stuff and leave. I would pack up my kids and leave. It's so easy to say that when you're on the outside looking in. And I've always been one to say the exact same thing. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I was in an abusive relationship, I did still have that mentality and I did leave. But it still wasn't easy to just up and leave. There are so many factors at play. So we're going to talk about those various factors today. And hopefully this will clear things up when you see your friend, your sister, your cousin, your mom, your daughter, what have you, your granddaughter in an abusive relationship, and you ask yourself, you bang your head on the wall and you think, why don't they just leave? You can't make them leave. You can't drag them out of that situation. Sometimes you can't talk sense into them. There's so many factors at play. So let's start talking about those factors now. For one, a lot of times when a person's in an abusive relationship, there's some kind of financial abuse going on. Or that person is, let's say they're in a marriage. A lot of times it's not easy to leave because of the financial aspect, right? Their finances are commingled. A lot of times an abusive person will make the spouse dependent on them financially, so where they feel like they can't survive without their spouse. What are they going to do? Maybe they've quit their career, maybe they quit going to school, so that they can become financially dependent on their spouse, because they know, the abusive person knows, that they wouldn't otherwise leave. They would otherwise leave if they were independent. If, let's say, you met someone who was independent, say you're an abusive person, you met someone who was independent. With independence comes freedom, right? You're free to come and go as you please. Well, an abusive person's not going to like that. They're going to want to break you down. They're going to want to make you dependent. They're going to want to make you dependent on their finances. They're going to want to make you feel like you can't survive without them. Basically what I'm saying. But no matter what your financial situation is, you can start over. You can make a new life, especially if someone's going upside your head or threatening your life physically. And any type of abuse is bad, in my opinion. I'm actually, just in every opinion, it is damaging. You need to get out of that situation. And if you are financially dependent on the person you're with, you know what? Sometimes it takes drastic measures where maybe you might have to go into a shelter. Maybe you might have to rebuild your life from the ground up. But nothing is worse staying around and being abused. And you will be so much better off in the long run when you start your life over. Let go of whatever benefits and perks are coming with that relationship. You're going to be so much better off without that person in the long run, regardless of how you're benefiting financially. Don't ever let someone make you financially dependent on them. That's the easiest way. But an abusive person is going to like that. They're going to want you to be dependent on them. So that's one reason. Or let's say you're married to an abusive person and you have children. A lot of times you feel like, it's better for the kids to stay with them. So you'll just keep staying and being their punching bag physically, mentally, emotionally, or verbally. And you don't realize the damage that you're doing to your kids. You're instilling trauma into your kids. You don't realize that, even if your kids aren't being abused. They are being abused by being exposed to it on an ongoing basis. So you need to think about that. You're not doing your kids any favors by staying in that situation. But some people mentally think it's better to stay with your spouse because of the kids. So that's kind of a connection that'll keep them there. Excuse me. Then the more invisible ties that bind, things that aren't so obvious. Okay. When you get into an abusive, or you get into a relationship with an abuser, you get, first of all, you get attached to them through chemical reactions in your brain. So we all have oxytocin in our brain, which is actually dubbed the love hormone. It's a neurotransmitter that's released by the pituitary gland. Okay, so this is actually love. The love hormone is used in pair bonding. It helps with sexual arousal. Excuse me for being graphic. Um, it increases feelings of attachment. Oxytocin also increases when it's being released. It increases generosity, trust, and it decreases fear. And it also helps you recover after bad social interactions. So when you are bonded and connected to your abuser, you're having sex, um, you have this love hormone being pumped into your body by the pituitary gland, it's literally increasing positive feelings and decreasing negative feelings. Like, there's literally a chemical reaction going on. Oxytocin is also something in women that is helpful with childbirth, breastfeeding. So it's just a natural hormone, but it bonds people together. So you literally have this invisible bond that is connected by chemicals in your body. So crazy, but people don't realize they're bonded together with other people, unfortunately, sometimes abusive people, especially when you're engaging in sex. You have that oxytocin in the mix. Terrible. It's good when it's good, but it's bad when it's bad. But people don't realize. It's why some people go around acting like drug addicts when they're in a relationship, especially, in a toxic relationship. And you just can't make sense out of their actions. Well, they literally have some chemical reactions going on in their body, and we can't see it. We're not, doctors. We don't understand what's going on. Well, now you do. There's something in there that's going on that they might not understand, but they're just reacting to it, and they have this love hormone pumping through their veins, and that's bonding them together with a psycho. It's so crazy. The other thing that really puts you in a trauma bond with an abuser is intermittent reinforcement. And what that is, especially like, let's say when you're dealing with a narcissist, they like to put you through the love bombing phase and then take you through the devaluation phase, sometimes discard, and then back through love bombing, devaluation, discard, love bombing. It's like this vicious cycle. So it's basically just constant ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs with intermittent rewards, and you never know where they're going to be rewarded. That's intermittent reinforcement. If you grew up in a dysfunctional home where you recognize this is familiar to you, intermittent reinforcement is familiar to you, you might gravitate to a relationship like this, where you're with a person that's not consistent, that is providing intermittent reinforcement. So what I mean is, let's say, you when like with the narcissist, you go through a love bombing phase where they're just showering you with love and attention, and you're the best thing since sliced bread. You are like the answer to all their prayers. You're gonna fix them. You just dropped out of heaven, honey. You are like literally the best thing ever. And they put you on this pedestal, which it's just an unrealistic place, really, because you'll never reach the greatness that they have, the level that they've put you on, because it's not realistic. But in their mind, when they first meet you and they're love bombing you, that you are just the best thing. And then when they start the devaluation phase and they're pulling back. It's this push and pull, this push and pull, the pulling back. And you're like, wait a minute, yesterday I was an angel from heaven, and I, dropped out of the sky to be your wife or whatever, and your soulmate. And today you don't even know if you like me, and you think I'm fat, or you don't like the way I chew, They'll find things to nitpick you about, and they'll devalue you in any way possible. They won't like the way you look. They won't like the way your voice sounds, or whatever the case is. They find things to pick at your self-esteem to make you feel devalued. So then you're constantly craving like a junkie. I don't know if you know much about drugs, but let's say a crackhead, okay, comes across crack for the first time. They hit that crack pipe. Well, that first high is like, from what I hear, I've never done drugs, but it's just this intense, crazy high that they never are able to attain or reach again. So that's kind of like what it is being with a narcissist. You'll start craving that crack pipe. You'll start craving that first high, like the love bombing high, like when you first met. But you're not going to really get there. But in your brain, you've already engaged dopamine. You've already engaged the chemical reaction of what it feels like to be a drug addict, basically, just from dealing with this narcissist and getting this imp or abusive person, could be a psycho, getting this intermittent reinforcement. It basically engages the same chemical reaction in your brain. So you're walking around like a junkie for love. It's the craziest thing ever. So what intermittent reinforcement is, so if you look at it like this, say, and a lot of psychologists describe it like this, like going to a casino. So, when you go to a casino, and actually gambling is a form of intermittent reinforcement, and it's very addicting, just like a toxic relationship is very addicting, or a relationship with a narcissist, or a relationship with an abusive person. You go to the casino, okay, and let's say you sit down in a slot machine and you start pumping your quarters in there, pull the lever. Next thing you know, you've dumped $100 into the machine, and you're like, well, I know at some point this machine is going to hit, and I know it's going to give me a euphoric feeling when it hits, but I've already dumped so much money into it. Or in other words, I've already invested so much time into this relationship, but I know there's good moments because I've had good moments with this narcissist or abusive person before, love bombing. So I know it's possible. Well, I know this machine can hit because I've hit on the machine before at the casino, and I've already dumped $100 worth of quarters into it, or I've already spent this much time with this narcissist. So I'll just keep putting my quarters in the machine until I can get those sevens or the bells or whatever you get on the machine. So I'll just keep investing my time and energy into this relationship with this narcissist so I can get back to that love bombing, so I can get back to that crack pipe feeling, the first high, so I can get back to those, I gotta get that jackpot. I gotta get that jackpot. Let me keep putting my quarters in, pulling the lever. Let me keep investing my time with this narcissist, abusive person. I know he's sucking me dry. I know he's draining my pockets. I know he's draining my emotional bank, but I know that I can hit that jackpot. I can get back to that love bomb pipe. I know if I keep pulling this lever, I can get the jackpot. Jackpot. I'm getting excited here. So, your dopamine's increasing in the brain. It's so crazy. Next thing you know, boom. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you hit the jackpot. You've put $150 worth of quarters in there. You hit the jackpot. Oh, next thing you know, you have a good day with your narcissist, your abusive person. See, I know he's in there. I just knew he was there. We have a good week. We went on vacation and we had a whole week that it was good. I know that this person, I invested all my time and energy. We have kids together. We have a house together. We're married. I know that the good person that I first met and fell in love with, he's still there because he just showed himself to me. I just hit this jackpot. Then what do? You Keep playing the slot machine. Put those quarters back in the slot machine. Keep pulling the lever. Because you got to get that dopamine hit again. You got to get that first high again. You can't just stop there. So what do? You keep investing your time in this narcissist. You can keep investing your time in this relationship with this abusive person, but you're back on the low end of the relationship. You're back in the devaluation phase. It's making you feel like crap. But you know he got a good person inside. Y'all just went on vacation. He just showed you some love bombing. He just made you feel good. You just hit the jackpot for a whole week. You had a whole week of goodness coming out of him. Like, you know he got it in him. Putting them quarters in the slot machine. Keep pulling the lever. I know I'm going to hit another jackpot. And you see how this goes. That's why gambling is an addiction. You know, and it's because of intermittent reinforcement. So that's how this relationship can become a literal addiction, and it's a chemical addiction. So I said all that to say there's so many components involved. I mean, aside from the obvious, you're scared to leave your narcissist because he might stalk you, he might kill you, he's threatening your family, he's threatening, you know, bodily harm if you leave him. There's so many other things, but just the invisible aspects of why it's not that easy to leave a narcissist or leave an abusive relationship is because of the invisible tie you have to them, the bond, and the basic addiction you have to that relationship. Even though it's unhealthy, it's toxic, just like an addiction to drugs or alcohol or smoking is toxic. Doesn't stop people from doing it. So once you realize that, it can help you really look at your situation and then figure out your escape route because you need to get out the situation. I always say you need to figure out what's broken inside of you that's attracting these narcissists, that's attracting these abusive people, because a lot of people that like to get involved with relationships that have this intermittent reinforcement, push-pull, intermittent reward system, it's familiar to them and they're attracted to it because of something dysfunctional in childhood. So, you know, it really takes a deep dive analysis, a post-mortem analysis of your past, of your history, and figure out what's broken inside of you and fix it. Work on that and fix it so you can get out of the situation you're in and keep yourself from getting back in that situation with another person just like it, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to keep going through the same cycles over and over and over and over if you don't fix what's broken inside of you. So I wanted to say all that today. I'm just going to keep this video short. I hope it's making sense to the people that's listening. Why won't the domestic violence victim just leave? Why won't the verbal abuse victim just leave? Why won't the emotional abuse victim just leave? Why won't the narcissistic abuse victim just leave? I would leave. You would? I hope you would. I hope a secure, grounded, emotionally stable person would leave and not be attracted to a situation like that in the first place. But the people that are in these situations, it's not that easy to just leave. So try to have some understanding of what's going on behind the scenes and be a helper. You know, be a helper. Help be more understanding of what's going on, less judgmental. And if you know anyone going through this situation, kind of help them through it with this knowledge. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you can kind of relate to what I'm saying, or if you have anything to add, take away, or fix what I said, or whatever, feel free to comment below. I'd like to get your feedback. And thank you so much for taking your time to listen to this today. I really appreciate you. You have a wonderful day, morning, noon, or night, or whatever time you're looking at this. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.